No, thank you. Sleepy. Come back in an hour.
Need sleepy.
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God!
It's now time for the Billy C. Morning Show, part of the Billy C. Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C. Morning Show. Good morning to everybody. Give a special shout out to all of our viewers on Fight TV and our listeners on ESPN New Hampshire and all of our other affiliates throughout the United States and Canada. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located in beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. And don't forget, if you're heading south for the winter like the birds do, don't forget it's a 15-minute detour for you off of I-95 to taste Sal's food, and trust me, it'll become a regular stop. And he's got clean bathrooms, man, so hold it in. There's no listen, right where you get off, there's one last rest stop, all right? So it'll be perfect for you to, stink up his bathroom, but you'll get to enjoy a great meal. And by the way, mention this show and get a free cannoli with your meal. So salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Check it out for the address. If you need info, just drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold, and you can literally get yourself a copy of it right now by visiting barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. Yesterday I was at the Queensberry Hotel at a book fair, signing books and getting rid of books, selling books, I should say, at a discount price. And who popped in? But my man Coach and his beautiful wife were up in the area, and they stopped by, and we had a great chat for a while. So I want to thank Coach and his wife for stopping by. I appreciate it, and hopefully they'll be stopping by in the area more often. So shout out to my man Coach, who's got a really good article up on BillyCBoxing.com. Check it out. It's right on the front page. I think you'll enjoy it. This weekend, Manny Pacquiao beat Jesse Vargas to take his WBO welterweight world title from him. We did a post-fight show that is up on YouTube right now. It's also on a podcast. Very well we did with the viewership on that. I appreciate everybody becoming part of that and watching it on their own time. That was some great stuff. So I appreciate that. Programming note, we will not be doing a live show tomorrow, Tuesday, but we will be here for the rest of the week. So just mark that one down. No live show tomorrow, but the rest of the week we'll be working our arses off. And today, my main topic really is, I'm telling you right now, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather Jr. rematch, this May 2017. It's going to happen. Mark it on your calendar. It's the only fight that makes sense for both of these guys at the stages they are in their careers, which ultimately Manny Pacquiao, 37 years old, Floyd Mayweather, 38 and technically retired. We all want to see Floyd attempt to win his 50th and then retire with the only 50-0 record. And the most logical opponent at this point, which not only makes sense physically for both fighters, but it will make financial sense, is the rematch between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Joining me right now, my main man, and you know him as the man, the myth, the legend, the New Jersey Boxing Hall of Famer, the Guinness World Record holder, the Pizza Man, which, he's a little more than just a pizza man, but man, can this guy throw a few pies. And if you say something bad to him, he'll throw it right across the room at you. My man, Sal Rocky Senecola. What's up, Sal?
Good morning, Billy. How are you, pal?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. I
Okay.
got to mix it up a little with that. But listen, we had a
You
fun.
too. I love that. It's great. I can't wait to see what you're gonna throw in tomorrow. Not tomorrow. We're not on.
That's right, not tomorrow. But hey, listen, we did the post fight show. I appreciate you taking the time. I know it was late, and we got a good following on that. There was a lot of people that watched our post fight show. There wasn't much to really get into. There was really no controversy in that fight or anything.
No.
And we had a couple of days to let it digest. And to tell you the truth, just like we were talking a couple of minutes before we went on air, I feel the same way I did Saturday night. I mean, Mayweather looked good. I was kind of expecting him I'm sorry. That's a Freudian slip.
Mayweather looked good ringside, sleeping.
Yeah, I think Pacquiao looked good. I think he looked really good. I would have loved to have seen him knock out Vargas only for a little more buildup, but I thought he looked good. And to be honest with you, it's really the only fight that makes sense is the Mayweather-Pacquiao rematch, most likely in May. What's your thoughts on that? Because, I mean, some of the callers on Saturday night were throwing at us, other names. Oh, we want to see him fight Thurman Kell Brook, Errol Spence. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Those guys are young guns. And, yes, Manny Pacquiao would be a great test for them and would add to his legacy should he come out on top. But, I mean, I would rather see an even fight. I really believe that Mayweather-Pacquiao 2 would be an even fight. Despite Floyd's dominance in the first one, I do believe it would be a little more exciting. I say let's go for it. What's your thoughts on the whole situation?
Since we saw that fight, which is going to be 2 years on the dime in May, I was really upset with that fight, and I said we're never even going to pay for a rematch. But massaging it now and seeing what it could build up to. Hey, guess what? This is also going to be the drama involved with promoting it. This will be Floyd Mayweather's 50th fight, his potential 50th win. What better way to possibly put the stumbling block ahead of that but to have Manny Pacquiao come in the ring to try and avenge his loss on that note of the 50th fight for Floyd to finally retire and the Manny consider retirement no matter what he does after this fight, win, lose, or draw. I think it's perfect. I think it's a storybook. I think it's the only way, and like you and I have said many times, it's the only fight that makes sense. Manny Pacquiao is already a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. He's done it all. He's a great contributor to boxing, an asset to the game, a credit to his people. And I think that this is the only fight that has the drive, the motivation, the incentive that Manny Pacquiao should rise to the occasion to try and come back and be the victor. Whether he is or not, my feeling on that. But I think it's the only fight that makes sense for both of them.
Well, I mean, if we do factor in Manny's excuse, which I hate, and he technically fighting with, one arm, you would hope that he would try to press the action a little more. As far as Floyd is concerned, he feels he would dominate in the same fashion. So I think it does make sense. I know it's going to happen, and I think Manny's earned it. I mean, his last two fights, wins over Timothy Bradley and Jesse Vargas. I mean, come on. Aside from Manny Pacquiao fighting Floyd Mayweather, Floyd can't match his last two fights if you take Pacquiao out of the mix with the level of opposition that Manny's had. So I think it makes sense. I think the fans will buy it, and I think that it boils down to money, and both guys could do very well, especially Floyd. So I think it's going to happen. And one little side note before I get into the other fights, just for anybody that's missed the results from the weekend. You and I think talked about it, but before the fight, during the intros between Manny Pacquiao and Jesse Vargas, they played a really cool montage of video clips of all these great action-packed fighters. Tommy Hearns and Hagler and Muhammad Ali were there, and Boom Boom Mancini, Aaron Pryor, and Aguayo. I mean, they just were playing Roberto Duran. I mean, they were playing all these great action-packed fighters, that you stop and think about. And I loved it. And their tie-in was Manny Pacquiao, because Manny Pacquiao was, no matter what you think of Manny, he was an action-packed fighter and won in devastating manners. And we chuckled. I know we talked about this off air real quick, but we kind of chuckled because as Floyd Mayweather, who is the self-proclaimed, he's the self-proclaimed best fighter ever, and he brags about he brags about his undefeated record and how much money he's made, but you couldn't find one clip to put him in that mix that we watched before Pacquiao and Vargas came out. Not one. I can't. No. To the best of my knowledge, I cannot remember one action-packed sequence where Floyd was lighting it up and really taking out an opponent, at least within the last 10 or 12 years, and I think that people should keep that in the back of their mind. I mean, he may have made a lot of money and he may be undefeated, but he certainly wasn't an exciting fighter. I don't think anyone can say Floyd was exciting. What do you think?
No, I mean, it's a perfect signature ending or preview to that Manny Pacquiao fight the other evening, because those were incredible fights. And those were the days when the Lions, or, there was a heavyweight film years ago called When We Were Kings. Well, you know what? Every one of those guys they showed there, well, they were all kings. They rose to the occasion, Billy C. They put their credibility, they put their titles, they put their hearts and bodies and souls on the line to prove that they were still the victor, the better fighter that night against a level of competition that was their equal or more. They didn't look to say, hey, I want a 20-foot ring, I want an 18-foot ring, I want this, I want that, the ring's got to be this tight, I want to fight with these gloves. That wasn't all about what it was. It was more of a negotiation. There were trade-offs. Each fighter, each camp had their own little requests, and they were negotiated. But the bottom line is, no, those were stars. And I'm not taking anything away from Floyd Mayweather, because he's done some incredible things in the ring. But no, is there one lasting fight in my mind that he had a devastating combination and that was exciting because he was coming back from behind and everything else? No, there's not one single fight, because he wasn't that exciting of a fighter. And that's it. That's the truth. And the signature on the wall was what they showed us as a preview, that collage of those great fighters, those great champions. And you and I see on Facebook, everyone says, well, Floyd's best at that. And someone says, well, how do you think he would have done against Sugar Ray Leonard? Well, it would have been a fight. It would have been close. Leonard would have tied him up, would have outboxed him, and would have knocked him out. There's a whole slew of fighters from I don't even have to go on. You know it. You know what I'm trying to say.
Oh,
you're right.
100%. 100%.
That whole class of welterweights, especially in middleweights and junior middleweights, you had, everyone forgets about Pepino Cuevas, Carlos Palomino. These were great fighters. These were very good fighters. But they were very good fighters. But in the great class, you had the Hearns, you had the Leonard, you had several other fighters out there. You had the Haglers, and you had the Duran. And Floyd wouldn't have made it to the end of the fight against those guys. I'm sorry.
No, he wouldn't have. But anyway, just to get everybody caught up, as we're talking about, Manny Pacquiao improved to 59 wins, 6 losses, and a couple of draws, with 38 of his wins coming by knockout. And he picked up the WBO World Welterweight title in his unanimous decision victory over Jesse Vargas on Saturday night out of Las Vegas. The judges scored this one. 2 of them saw it realistically at 118-109, and one judge who I know personally, and I was a little surprised at the score, 114-113, all in favor of Manny. I had that fight, just FYI, 117-110 for Manny Pacquiao, so congrats to Manny. Jesse Vargas loses his second fight of his career. He's now 27-2 with 10 knockouts. Oscar Valdez improved to 22-9 with 19 knockouts when he stopped Hiroshi Osawa in the 7th round. And when it was waved up.
I'm not a fan of his right now.
Who, Valdez?
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
Great fight.
No doubt. Osawa drops to 30 wins, 4 losses, and 4 draws. It was no fooling around, no feel-out rounds for Oscar. Valdez, he came out, took care of business, and then enjoyed the rest of the card. Jesse Magdaleno beat Nonito Donaire via a 12-round unanimous decision to improve to 24-0 with 17 knockouts and pick up the WBO's super bantamweight title. Nonito Donaire drops to 37-4. The way the judges scored that one, two saw it 116-112, and one had a little wider margin at 118-110. To be honest with you, I thought that Magdaleno did win the fight. I think he scored the harder punches, although Nonito Donaire did land his fair share, but just not enough. And I think the early rounds went to Magdaleno. The middle rounds seemed to go to Nonito Donaire, and then Magdaleno's youth, I think, picked up and carried him to the end of the fight. So that's where that all fell through. In the flyweight division, Zhao Shiming took care of Prazatak Frapram to pick up his WBO flyweight title. That went to the distance. Shiming improved to 9 wins, 1 loss, and a couple of knockouts. The way the judges scored that, 2 saw it, a complete shutout, 120-107, and 1 gave a round to Frapram, scoring at 119-108. To me, it was 12 rounds, all in favor of Shiming. He is calling out Chocolito, which I wouldn't advise him to do, but nonetheless, it may make a good fight. So congrats to Zhao winning his first world title after a stellar amateur career. Over in some other fights, just to get you caught up, in the super middleweight division, Tyrone Zeuge improved to 19-0 with a draw when he scored a 12-round stoppage over the former WBA champ, Giovanni Di Carlo, who drops to 24 wins, 7 losses, and a draw. The official stoppage was 2 minutes and 41 seconds of the 12th and final round. In a clash of unbeaten super featherweights, Andy Venice came out on top. He improves to 17-0 when he won a 9-round technical decision over Casey Ramos. Strange happenings with that, because it was a decision that was rendered because Ramos couldn't, or there was a cut over the eye in which Venice couldn't see and continue, so they went to the scorecards. Technically, in my opinion, that should have been a TKO victory for the other side. But anyway, some other fights on Friday. Manuel Mendez improved to 13-1 with a couple of draws when he scored a first-round knockout, upset Victor Jones Freitas, the nephew of Acilio Freitas, with a devastating body shot. Put this kid down and out. I mean, he tried to get up and he went down again. 2 minutes and 32 seconds was the end of that one. Freitas loses for his first time of his career. He's now 12-1. Taras Shelistuk improved to 15-0 with 9 knockouts when he won a 10-round decision over Jamie Herrera. The score is 96-93 twice, 95-94. That was a tough fight to score. I mean, Shelistuk needs a lot of work if he's going to get to that next level, in my opinion. And then finally, in the cruiserweight division, on that same card, Constant Bejeanu improved to 12-0 with 4 knockouts, despite hitting the canvas to win a decision over Stevens Bucha, which a lot of people felt got robbed in this fight. Bucha loses for the first time in his career. He's now 16-1-1. All 3 judges scored at the same 97-91, which was kind of strange. I thought that Stevens was doing a little better than that. I personally didn't score it. Some more action in the super middleweight division. Jesse Hart improved to 21-0 with 17 knockouts when he scored a 3rd-round stoppage over Andrew Hernandez, who drops to 15-5. And Alex Cecido won a decision over Raymond Serrano to improve to 23-0. Serrano drops to 21-4. The way the judges scored that 8-rounder was 77-74 twice, and 1 judge had it 76-75 to give Cecido the decision. Speaking of a decision, a top-ranked, or at least top 15-ranked featherweight, Manuel Avila, he improved to 22-0 with a 10-round split decision over Jose Ramirez. Many people who were ringside felt that Ramirez won this fight hands down. Ramirez drops to 27-6 with a couple of draws. The way the judges scored it, gave the split decision to Avila. So that catches everybody up with some pretty action-packed weekend finally, right, Sal?
Yes, it finally came up out of its slumber. This was the Rip Van Winkle long drought, and I don't know why I put that Rip Van Winkle. I think I'm still looking to rise from that myself. But anyway, yeah, it was a great action-packed weekend. We had some good fights. We could talk a little bit about the rounds, about the Pacquiao Vargas fight, if you'd like. I just really saw that we had some good fights this weekend that I was glad to see. And I think we should have a couple good fights closing out the year. And as I said, there could be a couple of good fights planned for early to mid next year with the Klitschko drama unfolding, and of course Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather.
And I'm sure Deontay Wilder's going to pick some stiff to beat. He'll pick some stiff to fight. And we also got Joseph Parker against or Lucas Brown.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, no, Lucas Brown is against Shannon Briggs. So we'll see what happens. But I got some emails. Let's see what's on everybody's mind here via the emails. We got several of them. Dax Khan will be joining us in probably 20 minutes or so with some more thoughts on the fight, plus what's going on in social media. But Jesse, my man Jesse says, Billy C., Vargas will be a good fighter who can't beat the top champs. I thought Donaire beat Jesse Vargas easily. What a joke. Valdez should face Warrington, Vitica, Selby, or Leo versus Carl winner next. No more Saturday night's opponents. Valdez, I think, is an example of a young fighter who took advantage of getting a title opportunity in his previous fight. And then it was a good-looking fighter on paper, but it wasn't exactly a top fight. And, yeah, I agree with Jesse. Leo Santa Cruz or Carl Frampton winner would be a great fight for him, but it might be a quick too much for him. Maybe he does need a Warrington or Vitica or Selby first. So I agree with Jesse there. I don't agree with Jesse about Nonito Donaire and Jesse Magladeno. I do think that Magladeno won the fight. I know you got to watch the card a little later. Did you get to see the Donaire Jesse Magladeno fight?
No, I did not.
Yeah, that one was entertaining. I just the thing with Nonito Donaire is once you start catching him, he's got such a devastating punch. That's one of the things that happens with fighters with concrete blows. They have a tendency to wait for that knockout punch, and before you know it, the fight's over. And I think Nonito Donaire got wrapped up in really focusing on trying to land a solid counter that would put Jesse on his butt, which never happened. Jesse Magladeno, one thing I know about him, I've met him personally. He's been interviewed on this show. He's a gym nut. I mean, this guy works out like you wouldn't believe, cardio and everything. I knew he wasn't going to get tired. What I was concerned about was that he just never faced anyone like Nonito Donaire, but he came out on top and he went home with a belt.
Well, and that's what fighting's all about. That's it, coming against the odds and being able to be at your best. And no, I'm sorry I missed that fight. I was a guest that night. We had some MMA fights on Jekyll Island, and I was given a couple of ringside tickets. So my girlfriend Kayla and I went there at the Jekyll Island to see some of these MMA fights. We were ringside. They made a nice introduction to me and of me, and that was it. And we pretty much left at the main event as we saw that quick end, and then we drove back to be ringside to follow the Pacquiao Vargas fight. It was great because we actually just got the start of the bell for the Asala Valdez fight, which was so exciting. So
yeah, that was an exciting fight. Jesse says Vargas was waiting to catch Manny. He should have put pressure on him and roughed him up to the body. Vargas's footwork was awful. I think Vargas, Timothy Bradley was doing the, thanks for the email, Jesse. Timothy Bradley was doing the color commentating, and, he kept emphasizing how Manny Pacquiao is so difficult to fight because of his hand speed and and his punches coming from all crazy angles. Now, I've always said that, but obviously I've never been in the ring facing him. And anyone that prepares for Manny knows that he's very fast and he punches from crazy angles. But the way Timothy Bradley was putting it, which I thought was pretty good, was from a fighter's perspective. He says you really can't judge and see how fast this guy is until you're in there fighting him. And I think that it was totally obvious that Jesse Vargas was having trouble handling that hand speed. And I think Jesse's right, Jesse the emailer, is right that, at some point during that fight, probably after the 4th or 5th round, Jesse Vargas was saying to himself, well, I'm not going to stand here and trade. I just can't. I go to hit this guy and there's nothing there. Let me try to catch him. And, he did catch Manny with some several hard shots, Sal. Some of them landed flush, and you could say that Manny got stunned a bit. I thought Jesse Vargas definitely landed some punches, but he just couldn't put more than one punch together to land at a time. What do you think?
Well, what you said is exactly how I looked at the fight. There was one point in the 8th round, and I saw the same thing. Manny coming in, he had great head movement, which, I'm a big fan of. That's how I fought a lot, head movement. And he was a moving target. Those punches coming from the different angles. But there was one instant where Vargas caught Manny coming in the 8th round, and he hit him with a 3-punch combination that got Manny's attention. And he delivered, and each one of those shots, bam, 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 landed on Manny. Stopped him, and then Vargas stood back. He didn't go after him. And the whole thing is, as I said, Vargas has got to do this more than one time. But to tell you the truth, it was never as effective as it was in the 8th round when he caught Manny coming in with that 3-punch combination. He didn't do it enough, and when you fight a fighter like Manny Pacquiao, you're not going to have too many opportunities to make up for a lost opportunity. And I think he lost a few opportunities when he did catch Manny, and he couldn't further put any damage on him because Manny was evasive. And as you said, you called it, Manny's just too fast for this guy. And that's exactly what it proved to be.
Yeah, even at 37, he's
10 years difference. So again,
and I love seeing Manny in the ring. He's got. It almost looks abnormal how big and thick his legs are. I mean, he looks like Popeye legs, I mean,
it looks like Popeye legs. And it was kind of neat to see. And being a fighter, I could almost empathize, but I'm not going to get into it. It's not about me anymore. You know that. But hey, what? But the thing is this: when I saw Manny coming in with a smile on his face, and like okay, he had this. He smelt it in the air. This was his night. This is his domain. This was his comfort zone. This is the adulation of the fans and everything else. This you could see. You had this sense of, wow, this guy is going to be so much in his element, and he was. And that's where a fighter belongs, in the center of the ring, and that's where Manny found himself. And he dominated it. He made that fight everything he used and did to win. He did. And but it was good to see a fighter come in the ring with that little air of confidence, but not cockiness, and really looking like he's enjoying. Because that's what fighters do. They love to fight, and Manny showed that 100%. Look at the smile in the replay of what he did when he got in the ring. That was his domain, and it was going to be his night.
Well, look at the other guy, because he was smiling too. Jesse Vargas.
You know what? He was smiling too. They were both smiling. You're absolutely right.
I don't know. Maybe they were all huffing laughing gas before they came out. I don't know. Maybe the ring announcer had a piece of toilet paper hanging from his shoe. I don't know, but something was.
Maybe it was the hyperventilation they were doing to get that oxygen in the lungs.
All I know, Sal, something must have been pretty fucking funny for everybody to be smiling and shit, But anyway,
that would have been, hey, I'm gonna wipe that smile off your face.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm wiping that smile off your face. Oh yeah. Well, wait till I do this. It was like a Three Stooges thing. But anyway, I got another email. This one's from my man Blakely. And Blakely says, I think that if a fighter says he can't see, that should be an automatic TKO. It should not go to the scorecards. To me, this is the same as saying I quit. At least you wouldn't let the poor scoring of a broadcaster crew argue the decision that the judges come in. He says that drives me nuts in the sport. the broadcasters aren't that good at scoring. They're not the judges. But they always seem to make a huge deal about the scores when the scores don't match their own. I agree that if a fighter can't see, and he says I can't see, that the fight should be stopped, and that fighter loses unless he can't see from an unintentional headbutt. Once they may change the rules so that they call a headbutt unintentional, and the fight would be stopped if the doctor stops it or whatever, it goes to the scorecards, which used to not be. If you got a headbutt and opened up a cut, years ago, and you couldn't continue, you lost the fight. It's a fine line. If a punch causes a fighter not to be able to see, it should definitely be a TKO. But if it's an unintentional headbutt that's ruled as an unintentional headbutt, then and a fighter can't see it, it's got to go to the scorecards. What do you think?
Well, it's so funny because that was my initial pro debut at the Sands Casino back in 1982. I fought a guy from Chicago who had several fights. This is my pro debut on ESPN. I think it was on an undercard of Alexis Arguello, and I faced Gary Gamble, I think is the name. And I won the first round. Second round was maybe a draw or so. Then the third round, or maybe it happened in the second round. I'm sorry, it happened in the second round. Second round, we went out there. The fighter put his hand around the back of my neck, pulled me in, and I guess it could be a headbutt, but it cost me 63 stitches across my forehead. And the referee initially raised the other guy's hand, but later in time, Bob Lee, who was the commissioner of Jersey boxing at that time, looked at it and reviewed, and they came out with the law of a butt occurs or unintentional butt occurs before the end of the third round in the state of New Jersey, then the fight should be called a no contest. And that's how my first fight in introduction to the professional world of boxing was stated. My first fight was not a no contest, an NC. And that's I think it's a fair rule because it's an unintentional butt. The fight stopped before the end of the third round, or before any round. I don't know. Maybe maybe they go to scorecards after the third round. I'm sure.
After the fourth, but that goes to show that was the beginning of the wimpy changes in the sport of boxing. That's all. But I got one more. Yeah. I got another email. This one's from our buddy Chris from Canada, and he says, at the start of the 12th round, Stephen A. Smith was surprised that Zhao Schminging only had 10 professional fights. Why the hell do you have somebody that clearly doesn't know anything about boxing or even follow the sport doing commentating? It was pretty obvious. I tell you, Sal, it was pretty obvious that Stephen A. Smith was not up on boxing. Now, he and Floyd Mayweather had gone back and forth in the past, in the media or whatever. And Stephen A. Smith has a style that's, very demanding and New Yorkish, if you want to say. And he does that show with Max Kellerman. But it was pretty obvious to me that he was a fish out of water at ringside. I mean, yes, he was adding some comic relief. Some of the stuff was pretty funny that he was saying, but for the most part, no one that watched him enjoyed him. And he did say some crazy stuff. He didn't know how to read the teleprompter. He was criticizing the viewers that were scoring the fight because they weren't matching his. Although at times he did say accurate stuff, but other times he would counter it with complete garbage. So, yeah, I agree. I think if you're going to call a fight, you need to know about the guys that you're going to be calling. I think that's kind of important, don't you think?
I think it's not only important, but I think it's very imperative. Okay, Flip, I'll tell you. Yeah, you can't know a little bit about what you're going to talk about intelligently if you want to be credible.
Right, you can't just be making this stuff up. But anyway, he says, oh, great, here we go. This last point from Chris. Go. He says, most interceptions thrown in one NFL season was 42, and that belonged to George Blanda in 1962.
Oh, man.
My question,
Blanda, I remember
well, he was became a kicker for the Raiders. He says, but he was he played well into his 50s and might even early 60s. But Chris's question is, can Ryan Fitzpatrick break the record? Probably, because Ryan Fitzpatrick sucks with a capital S. But hey, thanks for pointing that out to me, Chris. I always appreciate the love, which will get me a nice little segue here. Let's get everybody caught up with the NFL scores. The Ravens topped the Steelers 21-14. Big Ben had an awful day. He did come back and play and was terrible. Cowboys continue to roll 35-10 over the Browns. I was a little surprised at the line on this, and if you guys recall, this was one of my diamond picks I gave you guys. So I'm now 12 out of 14. So I told you, bet what I tell you. The Chiefs beat the Jaguars 19-14. The Dolphins beat the Jets. The Jets are so pathetic. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick is garbage. This guy chokes more than somebody eating chicken bones. I mean, this guy is terrible. And I got news for you. It's not only him. That defense can't stop a nosebleed, and the coaching staff sucks. Put a fork in the Jets. They're already done. They were done before last week. They lose to the Dolphins 27-23, and I hope the Dolphins come back and do well. Your Giants held on to beat the Eagles, even though they jumped out to a 14-0 lead. They ended up winning 28-23. The Lions, they didn't sleep tonight because they beat the Vikings 22-16. The Vikings now have lost 3 in a row. They were the last undefeated team, and now 3 in a row they've lost. And by the way, they lost their offensive coordinator. He quit halfway through the week, so I was expecting a little fired up offense and didn't get it in that game. The Panthers squeaked by the Rams 13-10. The Saints slapped the 49ers 41-23. The Chargers, keep an eye on the Chargers. They came back and beat the Titans 43-35. And the Packers continue to slide. They let the Colts beat them 31-26. But the team that keeps me most impressed, the Raiders, beat the defending Super Bowl champions yesterday in Oakland 30-20. They improved to 7-2. And now the Raiders top the AFC West. Keep an eye on the Raiders because they're going to be there at the end. Right now, they're going to battle with the Chiefs, so we'll see what happens there. Over in the NBA, the Jazz beat the Knickerbockers 114-109. George Hill led the way for Utah, 23 points, 2 rebounds, 9 assists. The Trailblazers beat the Grizzlies 100-94. C.J. McCollum led the way for the Blazers, 37 points, 4 rebounds, and a couple of assists. The Kings beat the Raptors, 96-91. DeMarcus Cousins, 22 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 assists for the Kings. The Mavericks beat the Bucks, 86-75 in overtime. Greg Monroe, 14 points, 12 rebounds, and an assist to lead Dallas. The Nuggets, 123-107 over the Celtics. Emmanuel Mudiay led the way for the Nuggets, 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. And the Lakers, everybody was counting the Lakers out this year, and so far they're playing pretty well. They beat the Suns 119-108. Nick Young leads the way for the Lakers, 22.7 rebounds and an assist. Over in the NHL, the Oilers beat the Red Wings 2-1. The Blues beat the Avalanche 5-1. The Devils topped the Hurricanes 4-1. The Rangers beat the Jets 5-2. What do I tell you, Sal? Any team that's named the Jets sucks. The Blackhawks, which I love watching the Blackhawks play. I love that team. 4-3 in overtime over the Stars. And the Ducks beat the Flames. Oh, those Flames. 4-1. Sometimes these Flames, they just take it in the rear. I just don't get it, Sal. I just don't get it.
Easy.
I don't know. But anyway. Sal, don't be. What are you thinking? I'm just saying that, I think you're thinking the wrong thing. I think you're interpreting what I said wrong.
No, I was just laughing. I was watching something on the computer.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Hey, remember last week when we were talking about Demetrius Andrade and I was criticizing, Star Boxing and Artie Puello of Banner Promotions and telling them, they're really doing this kid wrong and everything else. Well, the other side of the story came out, so maybe I owe Puello and Star Boxing an apology, because apparently this is what happens when you put foot in mouth. But apparently Sauerland, the promoter that won the purse bid. Now, I don't know if this is better or worse, Sal, but when a purse bid happens, you would assume that your promoter, if you're a fighter, would try to take and win the purse, right? But it seems in boxing today that purse bids come in low because the promoters really don't want the aggravation and the pressure of generating money and potentially losing money on a fight that they bid on. And when this purse bid for the WBA was called, Team Andrade took a back step and they bidded like $1.50. And Team Sauerland, who thought that they were going to bid low, ended up winning the fight. And it turned out that there was a lot of clauses and stuff in the contract. And they said, and I quote, "The truth is that they," meaning Sauerland, "tried everything they could to possibly avoid putting Colque in the ring with Demetrius Andrade, including filing petitions with the WBA just hours before the purse bid was to take place in an attempt to stop the bids. They never expected to win the bid in the first place, but they gambled that our side," meaning Andre's side, "was going to bid much higher," which they didn't do, which is even a slap in the face more for Demetrius. But he says, "I have no idea when Demetrius will be able to step in the ring again, but I can tell you that these failed negotiations had nothing to do with us or Demetrius' team, that it solely landed on Sauerland Promotions." The World Boxing Association is actually ordering a new purse bid for this fight. I mean, how many chances did they get? No. I feel bad for Demetrius Andrade because nobody wants to fight this guy, Sal.
No, it's amazing. It really is. And that's, again, politics ahead of the sport. It's just crazy.
Yeah, well, according to Demetrius Andrade, he says, "I've trained for this." He says, "I signed everything that was put in front of me as soon as I received it. I was surprised to hear that we were being blamed for this fight being canceled. I put countless hours of training and sparring to prepare for this fight. Both he and I had plenty of time to get ready. This was not a short notice fight. It's been crazy these last few weeks. And as of this past Sunday, I didn't even know whether I had to fly to Germany or not. Right now, I just want to move forward with my career, give the fans the fights they deserve. I'll get in the ring with anyone in my division to prove that I'm the best 154 fighter in the world." And you know what? Nothing for nothing, but I agree. I think he is the best 154-pound fighter in the world today, and it's pretty obvious that nobody wants to fight Demetrius Andrade. And Sal, joining us right now is Dax Khan with some social media thoughts. And real quick, what do you think of this latest about Demetrius Andrade? It wasn't their team. It seems to be Team Sauerland that was dragging their feet and causing some problems.
That surprises me a little bit, but not a lot. Sauerland Promotions, they have things tied up overseas. In my opinion, they're the best promoter over there. They certainly put on the most shows on all levels. But, in the past, they've also proven they like to keep whatever titles they have hostage. Felix Sturm is a prime example. So I can see why, this took place. And you're right. Nobody wants to fight Demetrius, and nobody has wanted to fight Demetrius for years. So, this is a guy, who's in one of those cases on, literally, he can't pay for fights. So, it's unfortunate for him.
Yeah, it's a shame because he is, in my opinion, the best 154-pounder out there. But so what's going on in social media?
I guess you want to call it the feedback from the weekends. I don't know. People that they seem confused on exactly what they think is next for Manny Pacquiao. There's arguments among the fans on whether or not he looked great. He should fight all the big names. He's absolutely still the best welterweight in the world. And then there's the other half who are saying, was Vargas just the right guy? So that talk hasn't died down. And of course, the Mayweather talk is on there. For some reason, why these fans today insist that this is a great fight. I'm sorry, it's not. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good fight for boxing if it happened. Both are past their best days, even if they're still better than most.
Yeah, but wait a minute. But wait a minute. That's why the fight will be good. If Manny Pacquiao at 37 years old fights Floyd Mayweather at 38, or if they're both a year older, Floyd's 39 and Pacquiao's 38 at the time they fight again, it's even. What's not even is expecting a guy like Manny Pacquiao or even Floyd Mayweather. I mean, the only reason why Floyd Mayweather would be more inclined to fight a top name is because he pounds his chest and says he's the best ever. I never heard those words come out of Manny. But how can you expect a 37-year-old fighter to step in there with an Errol Spence or a Keith Thurman or a Sean Porter or any of these top young 20-something-year-old guys? It becomes skewed. But an evenly matched fight between Floyd and Manny is good. See, I think that the rematch is good, and I think that it will happen.
I don't. I'll just sum it up quickly like this. I don't think it's a good fight for boxing. Both are past their best days. I understand your point. It would be a good matchup. You can't really expect them to go in there with the younger guns, even though they're better than most. But, it's going to be drawn out in terms of the build-up, even when signed. If there's fans, it's a fight where the fans are stuck only knowing certain crop of fighters in this era are going to be sold on it being, the caliber of a Robinson LaMotta or an Ali Frazier type series. The belt that, will be on the line, and make no doubts about it, there will be some sort of title on the line. It won't be for WBO, but it's a fight between two 40-year-old fighters. They're going to be setting back the careers of these younger fighters and these active fighters whose names should be being circulated more. They should be getting the attention more. And, maybe a couple of them will be buried on the undercard if lucky. So, in my opinion, no, it's time to move on. Manny and Floyd's era is gone. Manny has a couple good fights left in him, and let it go. It's time for a new breed, a new crop, a new era. Go. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Everything that you did, you gave some great fights, but now it's time to move on.
So Manny and Floyd, Manny should retire again. Floyd stays retired. Is that what you're saying? Because I'm okay with that. I think that
Manny didn't retire. Manny talked about retiring. He didn't. But
well, he did. He did. He did retire, and then he came back. He officially had retired. They're calling this
a week.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. And Coach and I were trying to figure out yesterday, because Manny's last fight before Saturday night, he beat Timothy Bradley, and that was for Bradley's title, wasn't it? Because Bradley didn't lose to anybody except for Pacquiao that night. So, and Timothy Bradley had the WBO title. So, I mean, I don't get it. They classify that Timothy Bradley fight as the international welterweight title. So maybe Timothy Bradley got stripped along the way. I lost Pac. Oh, you know what it was? Floyd Mayweather ended up winning that WBO title because I think Pacquiao might have had it when they fought. That's probably what happened. Because Chris Algieri ended up with that. Man, it's so hard to follow the damn titles.
Algieri had the 140-pound, not the 147-pound.
But he fought for the WBO World Welterweight title, which was Manny's, in 2014. Then, in 2014 was Manny's title, because Timothy Bradley had it in 2014 when Manny Pacquiao beat him. So he won the title back, defended it against Chris Algieri, lost it to Floyd Mayweather, and then when he had the rematch with Timothy Bradley, it was for an international title. So that's what it was.
Here's a funny comment I came across. Somebody actually, and I just read this today, about 4 o'clock in the morning, they said Manny Pacquiao is the greatest, most famous fighter of all time and the best thing to ever happen to boxing. I laughed. I just couldn't. This is what I mean about
Who is?
This is what I mean about where these people are just stuck.
What did he say? Who said this?
He said Manny Pacquiao is the greatest fighter of all time. He's the most famous fighter, the most beloved fighter of all time.
Well, he could be a beloved
It's
fighter
yeah,
of recent
it
times.
is an opinion.
Yeah,
And-
of recent
and
times.
he's valued
This
as-
is what I mean. They don't know any difference. I was watching Ali versus Ali Listen one. I think it was the other day. And, when the fight's over, the interviews are being done inside the ring. And, of course, Ali's doing that famous, I shook up the world. They get Angelo Dundee over there, and they ask him, will he fight Eddie Machen? Eddie at that time, was had a nice little win streak going. Dundee said, Ali will fight anyone, so long as the money's right. He's going to be a fighting champion. Even then, and it's always been a business. We speak about that all the time. But, of course, but as guys today, they claim their fighters are going to fight anyone, and then things happen, like with the Golovkin fight. His opponent's falling through, or just as we spoke about with Demetrius Andrade. Dundee said one thing that was key that, I sat and I thought about it for a while. When he finished it up, he said, he's going to be the greatest thing to ever happen to boxing. And he was so right. And, the wins and losses of Ali, no matter which one they were, there was always drama involved. Whether it was inside the ring and he was changing his styles, or, he always provided us with those moments in boxing that stick with you, seeing, a former great sticking around a little too long. He actually hurt you inside, see him take a beating from a younger fighter. Ali provided everything. Today these guys, they don't provide the fans everything. And it's sad because the quality of the sport, not only inside the ring, but the way the sport is run as a business, fans today, they accept it because they don't know any better. And this is what's really killing the sport. I mentioned on Saturday night in the post-fight show, about the WBO. They sanctioned, the Zhu Shiming and Fafram fight. Zhu, he was 8-1. Fafram is his best opponent to date, and that this was a rematch from a year or two ago. Fafram is a guy who was facing 0-1 and 2-6 and a pro debut guy within the last 12 months. We have the WBA and their super title. That's supposed to be an acknowledgement to the champions that have more than one belt from a different organization. We have these interim titles. We have these regional titles. Why work to become a champion when you can maneuver your way in, when you can get yourself a spot inside there just by having a promoter who knows somebody, who can talk to somebody, who knows somebody who has a cousin who knew somebody. And then you get these guys in there like Vladimir Klitschko, who has always been put down for being a boring fighter and a lack of opponents. But meanwhile, this is a guy who fought everybody. And there was nobody left for him to fight. But literally, he fought everybody, to the point he was facing aging cruiserweights like Jean-Marc Mormec. I don't care how good of a fighter is, an amateur, what an Olympic pedigree he had stepping into there. You don't give a guy a title shot unless he's at least beat one person in the top 10. I was against it with Vasyl Lomachenko against Orlando Salido. This isn't Rocky. You're not picking guys out of there because, you need an angle. You're not Apollo Creed. These guys, Mac Lee Green didn't break his hand in training camp. Ernie Roman, the number 9 guy, isn't over in France. Buddy Shaw, the number 6 guy, didn't gain 300 pounds on the beach. There wasn't $1 million of publicity put into these events before the cancellation. They don't invest money in these fights nowadays, so they know at least 99% of the time it's going to be done. So something, it's just really, it's frustrating and it bothers me, and I just can't believe that, they watered down these titles even more by putting on and sanctioning such fights.
Dax, we've been talking about this for years. I mean, it's a joke. The sanctioning bodies, the titles, the youth today, a lot of, say youth, or I shouldn't just focus on youth. It's the younger fans or the new fans, because it could be an older person that's just become a new fan. They're the ones that are accepting it, and because they're accepting it, we're still getting it. End of story. The way the world works is you give the people what they want. Business is business. As long as people are paying for pay-per-views and accepting, how many emails do we get where somebody puts a value, and Floyd Mayweather is leading the pack. I blame a lot of it on him. A lot of people say he's the best ever. When I ask them why, the answers they give me are simple. They say he made the most money and he's undefeated. That's it. That's how they base it on. And he's got a lot of belts. Those 3 reasons. So that's where the value is being put in from today's fan. And they've drank the Kool-Aid because the promoters and the networks have shoved it down their throats. End of story. That's why it's working. The only way it's ever going to change, and I don't think it ever will would be for the fans to turn their backs on it. And then some promoter would have to step up and come up with an idea to draw people back in at the beginning level. And I say that because what you need to do is develop a long-term, lifelong fan. So you got to get somebody developed and get a fan following at the beginning of his or her career, and then have these fans build and multiply as the fighter builds and gets better. That's the only way. And one guy isn't going to do it. You need 10, 12, 20 guys that all have their big fan base. Then maybe we'll get to where we want. The only thing I'll say about superstars like Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao and some of the other big names that, like an Andre Ward or even a Triple G, these guys don't need titles. They'll still sell out arenas. People will still go and see them. So they've grown beyond the fallacy of a title. The title doesn't mean what it used to mean. And as long as people understand it, it's okay. Unfortunately, most of them don't.
Absolutely.
Well said, Bill. Well said.
Thank you, Sal. Thank you, Sal.
Curtis Stevens, social media talk. Curtis Stevens has been very vocal about all these guys who call, all these fighters or so-called champions who call out other fighters and then they never follow through with it. He said, either shut up, shut the blank up, or fight. Curtis Stevens, I believe that some of that was directed towards the situations with Triple G and his opponents that have fallen through. This is a guy here who really has a right to say such a thing because not only him, but Willie Monroe has the right to say such a thing due to the fact that, they went out there and they gave it their all. They called out the most dangerous fighter they possibly could in the sport. They had nothing to lose. These other fighters today, unless they have no other choice, they don't want to face the best there is. They don't want to lose whatever it is they have, no matter what ranking, what level it is, because it's so easy to get to that point. And that's, and that's the thing that's really killing boxing. This weekend, when we spoke about, when we did the post-fight show, I read some comments, based towards the show. Several jokers are asking, when we mentioned Young Guns, you mentioned a Young Gun earlier, they're saying, what's a Young Gun? In regards to that conversation, somebody asked, well, how old is Vargas? Yeah, Jesse Vargas is 27. He's not a Young Gun, but in this era, 27 is still young in boxing years. That's not what I meant by Young Gun. Jesse Vargas is a champion. He only had a single loss. The only loss he has is against a pound-for-pound fighter who actually has a win over a win over Manny Pacquiao. Young Guns, for those out there who are wondering, and this era who's so confused, take these notes. There's top names and there's Young Guns. Top names like Thurman and Garcia, who are going to face each other in the spring. There's no rush to make fights. Guys like that are one of the biggest issues that are in boxing. They're, as I stated before, they're willing to risk what they have in terms of position only for money and only if they know that there's something worth it coming afterwards. Nobody cares about legacy anymore. It is prize fighting. The Young Guns are the guys that are out there wanting those 6- and 7-figure paydays. They're the guys that are hungry. They're the guys that when they start out there, they only want the fame first. That's what they're thinking about. They want everybody to know their name. They want to walk into their neighborhood and they want everybody to clap. The Errol Spence, who's only 26, Jose Benavidez Jr., who's only 24. They're getting better with age. And as they get better, these other guys are getting older, but these are the guys who aren't getting the attention. The era isn't being ushered out, and the new one's coming in. They're hanging on a little bit too long to these guys. And as for Manny, this, in my opinion, leaving here, this might have been his last good performance. I know of a similar situation in 2009. Shane Mosley went against Antonio Margarito. Nobody was sure what was going to happen there. Mosley put on his last great performance. Leave it at that, go away. Since then, Mosley has hung around too long, looking for that one big win. As I stated, I disagreed with Sal, where Sal said Saturday Manny feels he has to, forget the word that he used, rectify or make it up to his fans for that loss. Truth is, Manny Pacquiao's doing this for Manny Pacquiao. He likes the attention. He likes to be in the spotlight. Same thing for Freddie Roach. It's time to call it a day. Let these new guys come in there. Let the sport evolve.
Dax, I appreciate your thoughts, and we'll look forward to you later in the week, my man.
All right, everybody, have a good day.
All right, take care.
Take care, Dax.
That's Dax Khan. You can check his column out up on BillyCBoxing.com. And I Dax is real animated about the titles and stuff, and I don't blame him at all. But I do disagree with him about his last comment. I don't think Manny is doing it for Manny. I do believe Freddie Roach is way he needs to step out. I mean, Freddie Roach he does nothing. Really, he brings nothing anymore. But I think Manny Pacquiao was probably doing this and taking these risks because, make no mistake, Sal, the Timothy Bradley fight and then subsequently this past Saturday against Jesse Vargas were not easy fights. I'm sorry, they weren't. They were fights to me makes Manny Pacquiao say, "See, I deserve a shot at Mayweather." That, to me, that's the plan. And, I saw the plan 2 years ago when they fought, and I see it unfold now. It was evident when he comes back from shoulder surgery and fights Timothy Bradley without a tune-up. This guy was saying, "I'm going balls to the wall. I'm taking my shot. If I lose to Timothy Bradley, I go away. If I lose to Vargas, I go away." He beat both of them. He's got one fight in his mind. That's a Mayweather rematch.
Billy, I agree with you 100+%. And let me tell you something. I disagree with Dax on that same statement with what he said, because you know what, Manny, if all was true of what he said about his shoulder and about his poor performance against Floyd Mayweather in that month of May that we saw, he let down. And let me tell you, this is where I disagree with Dax. When you fight, when you're a fighter, yeah, you're fighting for yourself. You're fighting for this. But guess what? Unlike some of these politicians, a fighter at a lot of levels feels that he is carrying the weight of his fans with him too. I mean, to some degree. I'm not saying every degree, because there are fighters that aren't as sensitive or whatever else, and they couldn't care about their fan base. But you know what? For Manny Pacquiao to know his whole origin and to know his belief ability, he is a man that carries the weight of his fans and things with him. And he knows he let a lot of people down that believed in Manny. He knows he let a lot of people down that night over his shoulder, if it's all that he claimed it was. So this quest, as you said brilliantly, after Manny lost to Mayweather, no, he could not be in a position to tout and say, "Hey, I want a rematch right now." No, he had to get the surgery, and brilliantly, just like you laid out, he took a path to earn that right to be back in the ring with Floyd Mayweather. And with these two victories he had, and they weren't just journeymen, they weren't just a tune-up, they were legitimate fights. And you know how I was. I was adamant. I never wanted to see a Pacquiao-Floyd 2 fight. That night, I swore up and down, left and right. I was so, literally, lack of a better term, pissed at the whole damn thing. I didn't want to even see it. But you know what? The way it's unfolding, the way you just laid it out, the path of Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather 2, yeah, I would like to see that fight. And you know what? Let this be the great passing of the baton. Win, lose, or draw, let both these fighters go out, either Floyd with his 50th win and record breaker of all this that he wants, or Manny avenging the loss that was so tainted and hard. So this fight has a significance in boxing. And you know what? Then they can pass the baton to the young bucks and carry on the division. But that's how I feel, Billy.
No, and you're right. I think you hit it on the head when you said that Manny earned a rematch shot against Floyd, and I think that Floyd would be willing to come out of retirement to give Manny that shot, and I think that Floyd has to admit that Manny earned it as well. That's you can't choose a better word. He earned it. He was not like Dax was saying. The Valdez fight. You could argue that they handed him a guy. Zal Schminging. You could argue that they handed him a guy. But Manny Pacquiao. Although Vargas was a good style for Manny's style, he had to beat Timothy Bradley and Jesse Vargas. And Jesse Vargas, I do consider a young gun. A young gun to me is a guy that's still in his prime, that's at the top of his game. And Jesse Vargas is that guy. But my question to you before I ask you the final question of the day is, Slip, you mentioned the word believability. Is that really a word, or is that a Sal Rocky Senecola word?
I've made several words up during the course of my lifetime, and I'm going to just make several more up by the time I'm done. And I think believability is definitely. Let's look that up in Webster. If not, I'm going to submit it to Webster.
Somebody let me know.
Just like I invented a word called perpendiculate.
Yeah,
I invented that word, and I'll tell you what it means.
Well, I tell you what, if anybody can get me the true definition of believability, email it to me, Billy@talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com, because I think that Sal Slip Mahoney Senecola just invented a word on us, believability. Interesting. It's like a spelling. It's like a spelling bee. Okay, little Johnny, here's your word, believability. Believability, BELIEFABILTY, believability. Oh, okay. Anyway, here's my big question. Yeah, we have Monday Night Football.
I'm not an English professor, right?
No, I know that you moiter the English language, Sal.
I bastardize it.
You moiter it. You're killing me, Satchmo. Listen,
you gotta kill him.
So the bottom line is this:
be a 200-pound greasy Italian tank.
I know. No, I'm the 200 greasy guy. You got Monday Night Football tonight, but listen, there's something better. We're not going to be doing a live show tomorrow, but we have a huge fight that's taking place tomorrow night. It's Donald Trump versus Donald the Don Trump versus Hillary the Crook Clinton, going at it. The winner will become the presidential champion of the United States. My question to you, Sal, is this: who are you going to vote for and why? And what is your ultimate prediction of the outcome of the 2016 United States presidential election?
Well, Bill, let me see how I can align this and talk intelligently about the outcome and about my reason for casting a ballot for each candidate. I'm not going to vote for each, just one. Okay, listen. Bottom line is this. I had an early vote. I voted last week. I voted for Donald Trump. If this country really, really is aware of what's going on, for the 50% of the people that have pulled their heads out of the sand and know where we are on the world stage, what our military is all about, what's going on with our leadership, what's going on with the Obamacare, what's going on with the deficit, what's going on, period, in our culture. How is the United States becoming, or are they on a pathway to becoming a third world country? Or what happened to the core values and the Judeo-Christian ways of what this country was built on? If they're looking at this to be changed, to look at what's going on for the direction that we're heading, Donald Trump is the only person you need to think about to consider a change. If you want to promote and continue going in the direction we're going, and you want to have half these kids coming out of school illiterate and becoming Slip Mahonies like me, I'm teasing. You know what? The bottom line is this. We are in a bad situation right now, and I cannot see this country sustaining its level of what you and I consider a normality going forward if we continue in this direction that continually tugs and beats us down. This is a society where, we used to, in the Reagan years, or we used to in the other days, if we wanted to better our lives and we reached our hands up for direction or help, we would put our hands up, and the people would help lift us with the direction. Today, you will see the opposite. You'll see people reaching, looking for help, but the people can't pull them up. The people reaching for help are pulling everybody down to their level. And that's the difference in this country today. We cannot afford to be pulled down as a country any further. We cannot afford to give money away to other countries that don't appreciate us or aren't there for us. We can't afford to do a lot of things we're doing. So the change I'm voting for is for Donald Trump. And you know what? I'm going to tell you another thing, going out on a limb as I will. Thank you very much. Okay. I believe, as I have always said to you, and you and I could say this on the air as we have. The media today does not just report the news, but they help create it and they help stimulate it. If you believe what I believe that to be true, I believe that a lot of these pollsters, I believe a lot of these things that you want to hear in the media or for Hillary have been hogwash. I believe there's that, as Paulie would say in a press conference, I'm the silent majority. You know what? I believe there is a silent majority in this country that maybe they won't even admit they're going to vote for Donald Trump. But once they get behind that closed curtain, guess what? They're going to want to change because they know we're in a bad predicament. And I believe that Donald Trump, if the voting is all on the up and up, is he an umpire? No. If it's on the up and up, and if there's not too much voter fraud or any voter fraud, I believe Donald Trump is going to win by a landslide because I believe the core, a lot of the great citizens of the United States of America want the change that Donald Trump could provide. And another thing, since you got me on the subject, those of you that think that Donald Trump is going to be a madman in the White House with his finger on the button, let me tell you this. Even if he's half the CEO of what I believe, or businessman that I believe he is, and I'm saying half, this guy's intelligent enough to amass a cabinet and appoint the top people in the staff, like he chose with a brilliant choice of vice president, Pence. I think he's incredible choice. And he's going to be a great vice president and a compliment to Donald Trump. So I think he will align his staff, and I think before he makes any major decision, a world event or anything else, he's going to amass his staff, and he's going to get everybody's opinion before any CEO makes a decision on what direction he's going to bring his company or his country. It's not going to be solely based on one man, believe me. And I believe Donald Trump has the experience, has the business intelligence, and has the common sense, and has the desire of a true American to try and bring this country back to where it deserves to be on a world stage. Amen.
Well, Sal, just to answer one question, believability is not a Sal Senecola made-up word, because according to the online Webster's Dictionary, and thank you to Dax Khan for being so quick to find out, he says that believability is a noun. It means the quality of being believable or trustworthy. Believability.
I knew it. It's a credibility. And I knew it. I read that word in third grade. I read it when
I was just going to say. I was just going to say. You see, you didn't skip school that day. You did listen. But anyway. And when you leaned over and you said to your buddy, nobody will ever need to know that word later on in life. Here you go. And remember what I always say: no matter where you go, there you are. So.
And here I am.
And as far as the Trump and Clinton battle that's going to take place tomorrow for the United States President Championship of the World, you know what?
Let me hear your thoughts.
My thoughts as we wrap up the show is simply this. I think that Hillary, first of all, it's sad that both sides, the Democrats and the Republicans, could only muster up these two candidates. That's number one. I think it's sad, and I think it's actually going to show us what we should expect in the future, because no candidate wants to go through the rigmarole and all the made-up bullshit and all of that stuff that these people are forced to go through. And I don't think they want to subject themselves or their families to it. So at the end of the day, we are going to end up with not so great people running. But here's the thing. In my opinion, is Donald Trump appearing to be a madman and wanting to hit the button? I've always said, let's just give him one of those easy buttons from Staples and tell him it's the nuclear button and let him hit it. Is he a spoiled rich kid who no one's ever been able to say no to him? Yes. Does he pick on people and act immature and go crazy? Yeah, he does. But here's the thing. Hillary Clinton is a crook, a complete crook. I mean, it's documented crook, lying piece of garbage, all right, that isn't even really healthy to begin with. And although I'm totally 100%
I can't
supportive.
recall.
Well, right. I'm totally supportive of a woman president, but not that
Yeah,
woman.
me too.
You know, I think
that
that
woman.
she's terrible. I think that the campaign about Clinton from Trump saying, "What have you done for 30 years in the political business? You've done nothing. What makes us think that you're going to make any changes in 4 years?"
Bingo.
I think that says it all. When the smoke clears, I don't think that Donald Trump is our answer long term. But what I do believe Donald Trump will do is I think Donald Trump will shake up our system enough to get both sides, the Democrats and the Republicans, back to doing what they're supposed to be doing, serving the people and not their parties. And that's what's happened. Well, that's what's happened in the last, and it didn't start with Bush. It didn't start with Clinton. It started with John F. Kennedy. I mean, this problem has been going on for 60 years, and every single administration that's come in since then has just band-aided it, got around it, and passed it along to the next group. So at the end of the day, when you look at our situation as a country, the other countries are laughing at us. Everybody thinks we're the strongest. The Americans all think we got the strongest military and this and that, and we don't. We haven't added any money to our military system in years. We have old, antiquated equipment. You got Russia and China have been focusing on military for the last decade or so. We are a laughingstock. Obama has put us in a situation where we have no balls anymore. The other countries take us lightly, and if Hillary gets elected, it's going to be even worse. I've talked to several.
It's going to be continued.
Well, I've talked to several people who feel that there could never be a war on American soil, and I totally disagree. With the technology that we have today, we've already had a war on our soil, and it happened on September 11th, in whatever it was, 15 years ago, in New York City. So my vote is going with Donald Trump. I think that he will mix it up, and I got news for you. You say that Donald Trump's going to win by a landslide. I don't think he's going to win by a landslide, but I have already put my money where my mouth is. I have bet that Donald Trump will win, and the reason I believe it, and the reason why I don't believe some of these polls, is because I think that there are a lot of people out there that want to tell that will vote for Trump, but they're a little embarrassed to admit it because of some of the outlandish things that have come out of Trump's mouth. But you could bet dollars to donuts that on Election Day, tomorrow, all the Trump people will go out and vote. All those people that say I can't stand either one of them will not vote. The question will boil down to this: will more people vote for Hillary and actually go out and press the button? Or will not that button, Donald? I'm talking about the lever.
Button. I just said the easy
we should just say lever. We don't want to get Donald running. Or will the people go out and vote for Donald? I think it'll be the latter. I think that Donald Trump's going to win this presidency, despite everybody trying to prevent him, including his own party. I think he's going to win.
I think so. And like I said, when you look at here's one thing that I think we got to really be paying attention to. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, let's all be on the same side. We're United States citizens. And if we want some of the common ground, some of the things that this country, that our forefathers died and bled for and wanted to give us the opportunities, the freedoms, the liberties, the ability to be entrepreneurs and capitalize on our hard work and effort. Well, then, you know what? That's why I believe in Donald Trump. And the old system, when he said that this is a machine, this is a game, this is this and that. I look at the Republicans. I used to be a card-carrying chartered member of the RNC. I am now just a conservative. Because as much as I loved and I bled and I worked on George Bush's 2 campaigns and everything else, I realized when they look at how this world of politics evolves on the RNC and the Democratic side, when I saw they put poor Bob Dole up against Clinton early on or so, I mean, Bob Dole is a great, great guy. I love Bob Dole. But to think he was going to be the best candidate for choice, other than just him being, well, guess what, Bob? You earned your due. It's your turn. We're going to put you up there because you've been around forever. You know, the same thing they were going to do with John McCain. That's the machine. It's like, who you think about it now. Here we are 8 years later from when Obama was first elected. Do you think the DNC or the RNC could have said, hey, we got to cultivate a thoroughbred. We got to have a shoe. We got to do this. You know, it just hasn't happened because that's not the way the political machines work.
Well,
and so that's,
shake it up.
That's
shake it up.
So maybe Trump, huh?
Like the Cars song, shake it up, man. Let's shake it up. Let's get out there and
Let's
vote.
shake it up, and that's what Trump is going to do. He's going to shake it up. You know, I don't like these fat cats in Washington. You know, they used to be. I told you this many times. The senators or the congressmen, they used to go to
who's this? Who's this on the line? Is
once
this
a month to vote?
Who's this? What are you?
Now they live there. They got apartments.
What are you, Rush? Is this Rush Limbaugh we're talking to? Come on, man. Come on. Hey, listen. Oh, let's just end it like this. Everybody go out and vote. That's it. Vote for whoever you want, and let the tables
right or
fall.
Left, go vote.
Just vote. Don't not vote and then complain because you can't. Hey, listen. On this day, November 7th, in boxing history, in 1988, Sugar Ray Leonard knocks out Donnie Lalonde in the 9th round to win the WBC World Lightweight and the newly created WBC Super Middleweight titles, and that took place in Vegas. I remember watching this fight.
Me too.
And this was a good one for Sugar Ray Leonard. On this day in 1970, Carlos Monzon knocks out Nino Benvenuti in the 12th round to win the world middleweight title. Took place in Rome. On this day in 1981, Tadashi Mahara wins a 15-round decision over Rocky Fratto to win the vacant WBA World Junior Middleweight title, and that took place in Rochester, New York. I know Rocky Fratto personally and his son. We used to co-promote together about 10, 12 years ago, so this was a big one for upstate New York. On this day in 1908, Jimmy Gardner wins a 15-round decision over Jimmy Clabby, the Battle of the Jimmies, to win the Louisiana World Welterweight title, and that took place in Gretna, Louisiana, on this day in 1908. On this day in 1989, Nana Condadu wins a 12-round decision over Gilberto Roman to win the WBC World Junior Bantamweight title. It took place in Mexico City. And on this day, November 7th, in 1981, Michael Spinks knocks out Von Zell Johnson in the 7th round to retain his WBA World Light Heavyweight title, and that took place in Atlantic City, New Jersey, on this day in 1981. And just a little FYI for everybody, our very own Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard was the referee in that Michael Spinks fight back in 1981. Hey, Sal, we're not going to be doing a show tomorrow, but we are going to be back for the rest of the week. So I tell everybody to make sure you tune in Wednesday morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. We will have a new president. We will give you our thoughts on that and everything that's going on in the sports world on Wednesday. So until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.
Batman.